gonna matter about the band? I guess they're not performing this time.
I have been involved in long-term care in one form or another since 1985 with nursing homes, retirement communities, assisted living, home health, home care technology. So hopefully tonight we'll be able to, the presentation that I normally do would be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, and you're going to get 20 minutes. So this will be the abbreviated version. But what we really want to do is we want to be a resource to you in the community, and we'd be happy to talk with people afterwards. We'd be happy to have you come to our office and talk with us and be able to walk through any scenario you might have. Now, I'm going to just turn my timer on here so I don't lose track of my 20 minutes. So just, I told Greg I'd start it when I was ready to, and then I'd do my 20 minutes from that point. But first of all, I want to just say that as we have this conversation, you know, I want you to know that this material, you know, we want to give information, but also this is a very personal decision that people make. You know, when you're dealing with a loved one who may need to, you know, have home care services, may need to be institutionalized, at that point in time, it's not always a head decision. It can be very much a heart decision. And so we want to talk about that from the perspective tonight as we talk about this, that, you know, there's a lot of information that we want to present. But, you know, I remember when I was helping my in-laws, we had just moved to Shelby. My in-laws lived in Florida. They were about a 10-hour drive away. My wife went down to Florida. She got a call that her mom was in the hospital. She went down, take care of her mom, got her mom back home. Her dad went in the hospital. She took a one-way flight to Florida because she didn't know when she was going to be able to come back. And she was gone for about 2.5 weeks. And I was like, you know, the first couple of days was kind of nice. But after a little while, I was like, you have any idea when you're coming home yet? And it's like, no, I don't know. I got to get my parents settled before I can go home. So you know, we certainly understand the decisions that are being made, and as we sit down and talk with people, you know, we want to be a resource to you. We're not trying to sell you anything. I gave an example to someone the other day who's a home builder, and he said, so, you know, what exactly do you guys do? And so I gave him the big picture, but I said, you know, every person's an individual. When someone comes to buy a house from you, and you design the house, you know, you want to know, do they want a basement? How many bedrooms do they want? And so when we sit down with you, we're gonna help tailor the care that you might need and be able to tell you what resources are available to help pay for it. So that's what we're here for this evening. And again, we'll be sticking around afterwards. Any questions that you have, but also if you want to come by the office, we'd be happy to sit down and talk with you as well. So very keen to take to the. You know, home care has become very technology savvy. There's a lot of things that we can do in the home that you know, we were not able to do a number of years ago with all the technology. We have the stepmom of one of our former clients, Jenny Price, is back here, and we took care of Jenny's son who was on a ventilator at home, and so we do ventilator care in the home. So the technology is enabling people to stay at home for much longer. And I can do a whole other seminar on technology and home care if somebody would like to hear that. But people are living longer. 24% of people over the age of 85 require assistance with activities of daily living. And some of you I talked to a little bit before, you've got parents who are starting to age. You're starting to see some of those signs of maybe dementia, some signs of some things that your parents might need. And so, you know, people are living longer, but they're certainly, the age 85, if you look at kind of those graphs of people, the age 85 plus population is the fastest growing population in the United States. And it looks like, you know, a snake has swallowed a rat at the beginning. It's like bulged out and then it kind of thins down. So it's the fastest growing population, and some of you have parents who are reaching that age, the 80 plus category. So the cost difference for home care compared to almost any other entity is much more affordable. And so we want to talk about some of those things tonight as well. And then obviously most people would prefer to stay at home. Now, just maybe a show of hands of the generation that I'm in. I remember having a conversation with my mom probably 20 years ago. She said, I want you to promise me that you will never put me in a home. Anybody have that conversation with one of your, and you know, so now when the time came that my mom needed to go to a nursing home, it was a real challenge because there was the side of me that knew she needed to go, and a side of me that was the guilt side that said, you promised Mom 20 years ago that you would never do this.
That's right.
Whatever reason, my mom was in the hospital. She had a massive stroke and died in the hospital. For her, I don't think she wanted to go. But it was, I went out that day and I looked at facilities, and it was breaking my heart as I was going around looking at these facilities because I knew I told her I'd never do that. And so some of you are in that boat. Can I keep my mom at home? Am I going to have to institutionalize my dad, whatever? It's a tough decision. So, but people would rather stay at home, obviously. There's a lot of reasons and factors for people staying at home. So great. Sometimes you can look at an insurance policy. The insurance policy is going to say custodial care. Your insurance policy says custodial care. And for most of them, it says custodial care is not covered. And what is custodial care? We would think that it was someone who was taking care of somebody at home to help them to stay at home. That is not the definition of custodial care. Custodial care is unskilled services that would be in the home. So if you have a policy that talks about custodial care, says custodial care is not covered, a lot of people think, well, I've got this insurance policy and it says we get home care, where they're usually talking about home health and not home care. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences between those two as well. You know, assistance with activities of daily living. There are 5 activities of daily living that they classified to be able to be met. A lot of insurance policies, long-term care insurance policies, will require that you have to have at least 2 of the activities of daily living to be met in order for the policy to be in effect. And those are bathing, dressing, feeding, toileting, and ambulating. And those are pretty standard 5 activities of daily living across the board. So if you've got an insurance policy, and a long-term care insurance policy, for example, it talks about activities of daily living. These are the 5 things that it's referring to. And then assisting with non-personal care. Sometimes you hear about the agencies who are non-medical. And that's just the you know, meal preparation, light housekeeping. And if you think about some of the people who are living at home, that may be the starting place for that individual. That they need that non-medical where you know, they need someone to come in and maybe help prepare their meal. We have a program, we call it Rise and Shine program. I don't know how many people I've met through the years that have a really tough time in the morning, getting up, getting ready for the day, but once they're ready, they're good to go the rest of the day. So we can come in an hour and a half in the morning, help bathe them, help them get dressed, fix their breakfast, and then they're good to go the rest of the day. They may need help in the evening, we can come back in the evening. So that assists us with the non-personal care, bathing, dressing, or non-bathing, dressing, meal preparation, light housekeeping, laundry. For some people, that's a starting place, and that's a service that's provided. Next one, Greg, thank you. Continuous care is most often is custodial, but it can be skilled care. Now, let me talk a little bit about the difference between home health and home care. Home health is typically paid for by Medicare. Medicare is a Part A benefit. The home care is a Part A benefit, so there's no cost to you. It's for those who have Medicare. If you're over age 65 and you're homebound and you have Medicare, you can qualify for that program. It's a 60-day intermittent spell of illness. And what they mean by intermittent is that they're going to come in. The way that Medicare does is it pays a bucket of money for the diagnosis that you have. And so they will send someone in maybe 3 days the first week, 2 days the second week for about an hour of each of those visits, 2 days the third week. By about the fourth week, they're getting down to 1 hour a week that they're going to see you. And that spell of illness can last for up to 60 days. It can be renewed, but typically it runs out at 60 days. Home care is continuous care where we're in the home. We can be in the home anywhere from an hour and a half to 24 hours a day. We can be in the home 7 days a week. And so and that can be paid for in a variety of different ways, and we're going to talk about some of those here in just a moment. Oftentimes, the continuous care is paid by the family, long-term care insurance, but there are some other programs that we'll talk about in just a moment. So, Greg, I want to keep an eye on my time too. Skilled care, again, the Medicare program, you're going to have physical therapy of nurses, you're going to have occupational therapy, you might have speech therapy. So those are some of the services that are going to be provided under that. And again, they're 1-hour services over a 60-day period of time.
I was photographed.
Okay, thank you. Again, we talked about intermittent care, Medicare, and I'm going to skip that slide, and I'd be happy to send out the slide for anybody that would like to, if you go to the next one as well. You know, there's Medicare HMOs. We're getting more and more HMOs. They're starting to be managed Medicaid. They're not in North Carolina right now, but North Carolina is looking at managed Medicaid. So the managed care organizations are starting to get into this business as well. But you can be services can be paid by Medicaid, by private insurance, by private pay, VA benefits, to name a few. So if we could go to the next slide as well, Greg. On the Medicaid program, there's waiver programs. In North Carolina, there are 2 Medicaid waiver programs for personal care services. One of them is the personal care service, and a physician has to write that. And just like a lot of government programs, they forgot to tell the physicians that they're the ones who are supposed to set this up, and there's a form that they have to fill out. So we've got those forms if someone needs that, because a lot of the physicians are not aware of the program. But it's one program. It offers up to 80 hours a month of care, usually over 5 days a week, so you're getting about 2.5 hours a day over those 5 days. You can get up to 120 hours a week if there's some dementia, or 120 hours a month if there's some dementia involved. There's also the CAP-DA program, and that is run by Care Solutions here in Cleveland County. And you can go down and you can talk to the people at Care Solutions. You have to be Medicaid eligible to qualify for that program. Typically, we'll get people on that program that are going to get about 30 to 36 hours a week. And we help with bathing, dressing, ambulating, light housekeeping, meal preparation, laundry, and things of that nature, and to enable people to stay in home. It's a program that the people have to be eligible to become nursing home eligible in order to be on this program, but they can stay at home with this program. So Care Solutions are the people who run that program here in Cleveland County. Again, we'd be happy to help you, get to the right contacts. I know I'm going to give a lot of information in a short amount of time, but you're welcome to talk to us. Long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance, you may hear something about an elimination period. An elimination period is like your deductible. So it may be a 100-day elimination period. It might be a 30-day elimination period. So during that time, you have to pay privately for those 30 days, 60 days, 100 days, whatever that elimination period is. And then your insurance policy will kick in and will pay after that. So, and a lot of people don't understand their long-term care insurance policy. They might have a parent who has one. We'd be happy to go through and read that with you and explain to you what all that means. We have an insurance confirmation office that could also get your benefits, and we could explain that to you to help you understand what that policy is about. Out-of-pocket private pay, and we do have a lot of people that pay privately. Another one that's not up here is the Veterans Administration. There's a home and attendant program that if you're a veteran, and the qualification for this program is pretty broad. A veteran has to have served 1 day in wartime. That doesn't mean they have to be there. They just have to have served 1 day in the military while the United States was at war. So all the gentlemen who were at the Gulf War and came back, or even didn't go to the Gulf War, but were active duty during that point in time, they're eligible. So the VA has some really nice benefits for veterans. So if you've got a parent who's a veteran, that may be a benefit that you want to look at, and we can certainly help you along that process as well. How do you go about selecting an agency and stuff? Give us a call. We'd be happy to walk through with you. We are not all things to all people. We are not a Medicare agency in our office. So, but if you need Medicare services, if that's going to be the best place for you, We can tell you what your benefits are. We can help direct you to the right people. We don't provide hospice services. There's a lady over here who's with the Catawba Hospice. But if you need hospice services, we can direct you to who you need to go to. And we want to see ourselves in the community as a resource. We do obviously provide home care services, and we're there. We do the non-medical, the bathing, the house cleaning, the meal preparation. We do all those kind of things. We assist with the activities of daily living. We also have nursing services where we take care of people with high-tech needs, maybe with a tracheostomy or a ventilator. So we've got a broad range of services. We do from an hour and a half a day to 24 hours a day. So we've got a broad range there. So I think I'm about done here. I've got one more slide here? Okay. Some benefits that we have, people get back home. They get home. One of the things that nursing homes we're experiencing is that when I was in this industry 20 years ago, we kept people in the hospital a long time. Now we send them out quicker and sicker. And you guys have probably all experienced that with someone that you know. So we can be there from day one to help transition into the home. And people like being at home. They're in the comfort of their own home. Infections are less because there's no one to get an infection from down the hallway. So the infection rates are much lower. The family gets to be involved in the treatment of care. Which one of us wouldn't rather be at our own house and be in our own bed? And so that we can provide those services as well. Comfort, family and friends can come and go. I know in facilities they can do that too, but we have clients who are younger. And their hours aren't exactly the same as everybody else's sometimes. We have clients that we don't go there till 11 p.m. at night and help them get ready for bed because they don't want to go to bed till midnight. And so we've got clients that we go at 11 p.m. at night. But that's their preference. They want to, and so we're trying to understand their lifestyle and what they want to do. So, and again, faster recovery in the home if there's ability to recover. So faster recovery in the home. So I don't know how much time I've got left, but I'm going to turn it over to Greg. I'm probably pretty close to my 20 minutes. So did I exceed my 20 minutes?
I didn't hear it go off.
Okay. I've got a couple minutes, so I'm going to take the rest of my time. Sorry, Greg. So you can have your time when. Again, as we look at this, this is really, we try to put ourselves. I've been in many of your shoes, personally. I've dealt with I've lived in Shelby for 6.5 years, and in the 6.5 years, both of my parents have died, and both of my wife's parents have died in a 6.5 year period. All 4 of them lived in Florida. I remember calling on behalf of my in-laws, trying to find home care from Shelby to Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I would call agencies, and I needed 7-day-a-week care. We were going to pay privately, and we needed about 10 hours of care a day. And I would tell them right off the bat, I need 7 days a week. I need, it's going to be private pay, and I probably need about 10 hours a day. I'd start off the conversation letting them know what I needed. First people I called said, well, we don't do weekends. It's like, okay, that doesn't help me out any. The next person I called was a Medicare agency. And unfortunately, they didn't qualify for Medicare services. So I said, do you know anybody that you could refer me to? Because I live out of state, and I'm trying to get. So they gave me 3 phone numbers. The first one I called was disconnected. The second one I called, this man answered the phone. He was very gracious. He said, I don't know who keeps giving out my number. He said, I've had this number for about 2 years, and I keep getting these phone calls. And so, and then the third one I called, I talked to him, and it looked like we were going to be able to work something out with that agency. But it was frustrating. I mean, it was frustrating for me. I know this business. I've been in this business for a long time. I know the right questions to ask, and I'm trying to deal with this from 10 hours away, and I was very frustrated. So for the community here in Shelby, we want to be a resource to you. We want to be here, and like I said, like that builder who wants to know how many bedrooms you want and all that kind of stuff, we can't give you a cookie cutter model of what this is exactly going to look like. But we can sit down with you and figure out what your needs are, and then we can help you plan your care for your loved one. We can help walk through what the payer types are going to be and that kind of thing. So please feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to do that. If you'd like, at another point in time, for us to come and talk to a group that you're a part of, we've got a flyer on the table. We'd love to come out and speak, and again, we can certainly speak on a number of different topics related to home care. So, I want to thank you for that. So, we'll do that when Greg's done. We've got some door prizes we'll give away after Greg's finished. So, thank you, Greg.
So, in addition to being Joe Seidel, Seidel's clicker, okay, and sidekick, I'm also an attorney here in Shelby, and with the McIntyre law firm and McIntyre Elder Law. I started out I'm going to try to keep it to 20 minutes. That's kind of like asking a bird not to fly. I'm going to try to do it and hit some of the high points, okay? I started off practicing what I call door law. That's anything that walks through the door, okay? And you do that sometimes when you're a young guy and you got a young family. But I started being drawn more and more to estate planning, more and more to elder law, which is kind of a niche within a niche. So it's a focus area for estate planning, and it's a focus area for elder law. So much so that actually, that's one of our old logos that got in there. Our firm name now is McIntyre Elder Law. And that's on most of the brochures and cards and things that I handed out to you tonight. So there's a reason why I have a passion for elder law. And, man, I love partnering with people like Joe and Bayada. Another statistic that he might have touched on is, anybody ever looked up the life expectancy of a family caregiver? Many times, family caregivers actually predecease the people that they're caring for. And the reason for that is because of the stress. He hit on it when he was talking about, staying up late, or, the kids might have other things to do. And I mean, for me, it would be, I've got a beautiful wife, Stephanie. This is my clicker tonight also. And our 6 children, okay? Which are both, all 6 of them are ours, okay? And I've got that to deal with and take care of. If I tried to take care of my mother or father also on top of that, or Stephanie tried to, I couldn't imagine the amount of stress that would put on me. Plus, I'm not an expert at it. So you want to get an expert that can come in and help you out, whether it's the bathing or running the errands, to start with, or really detailed things like ventilators. And I can tell you, you should come back and listen to Joe talk about the technology. It's amazing. And if you want to hear him talk about the technology, we did a series of 3 interviews that are all about between 10 to 15 minutes long that are on my website. It's mcelderlaw.com. It's mcelderlaw.com. I have a video blog on there, a blog, podcast, and we put out just a ton of media. Sign up for our newsletter. I put out new things on elder law all the time. And Joe can tell you why Bayada and home health care is the future of health care, okay? Who wants to go to an institution? Joe talked about. Who wants to be institutional? Nobody. Just a bit of background. Those, pretentious letters behind my name there. I did get a Juris Doctor from Campbell and an MBA from Campbell University. I really enjoyed my time there. I learned a ton about it. Always wanted to be a lawyer. Never thought I'd be fighting big-time courtroom battles as opposed to elder law. And I tell people how much of a cutting-edge area of law it is. It's changing all the time. State and federal regulations. I absolutely am thrilled with what I do. I'm a member of a national organization, Elder Council. Very thrilled to be a member of that organization. It's a nationwide group of elder law attorneys. Okay, so I like to say I have a deep bench. So if I approach a problem that I have never seen before, and it happens every once in a while, then I go to my deep bench and we toss those ideas around and come up with a solution. Because somebody around the country's probably seen it before. This is Pop-On Map, okay? I only know how to speak from personal experience, so that's what I'm gonna do, if that's okay. Papa died a few years ago. He lived to the ripe old age of 98 and a half. Was in assisted living care about 15 years at Shelby Manor here in Shelby, across from the YMCA on White Road, okay? He had just kind of a little apartment over there. He would always wear a suit jacket. He was a farmer and a furniture maker, not an attorney, but he would carry around candy and hand it out to the ladies. He was very much a ladies' man there. You know, enjoyed. No, he was a good Christian man. Lived a long life, but I was very frustrated by the fact that everything he ever worked for his entire life was sold to pay for his health. Something that he didn't choose. He was a farmer, a furniture maker, grew up in Cleveland County and Mooresboro, Rutherford and Cleveland County area, between Mooresboro and Lattimore, as a tenant farmer. I have people all the time coming up to me, tell me about, these custom pieces of furniture they have in their house that he made. And he bought a farm in Lattimore. He and my grandmother did. And, everything had to go away. Now, if he would have come to see me, and this is what I want to do, is educate you on just some simple things that you can do to protect your hard-earned money and property, okay? Because 80% generally is gone within the last 6 months of your life. That's not okay. So, if we would have done what's called a ladybird deed, something like that on the property, save the farm right here. The house and any contiguous property. 100 acres, doesn't matter. I might be going home to the farm in Lattimore. Okay? Not that I wanted that land or money, but look at families who do save their land and money and pass it down. The Kennedys have done okay with that. Okay? Anyway, that's one of the things I draw from when I'm working. I like to joke that my grandparents also worked shifts on the other side. My mom's side, this is my dad's dad. And, swing shift at the cotton mills or fiber, selling these. I worked first and second shift many times, and, I can think about Papa Mac or look at his picture and know this is why I'm doing this, okay? And that and probably the 6 kids at home helps too, if you'll advance. So, things we plan for. We plan to be here tonight. I plan to be here tonight. You plan for birthday parties for the kids. You plan for all kinds of things, some important, some not. But most of the time, a lot of the time, the most important things, unless we're feeling a lot of pain, just something's making us do it, we don't plan for the huge things. The iceberg that's right out there in front of the unsinkable Titanic, we don't plan for that because it's just not on our radar, I guess. But we want to make sure we plan for those big things. It's very important, and we want to do that before it's too late. Some statistics, reasons we need to plan, reasons you might need Bayada home health care, skilled nursing care, or assisted living care, is that 70% of people over the age 65 right now, this is according to a 2005 U.S. Department of Health and Human Services study, are going to need some type of long-term health care during their life, whether in-home, assisted living, or skilled nursing care, which is nursing home care, okay? Those are better than Vegas odds. In fact, I do a seminar called Beat the Odds where we talk a lot about those odds. Vegas wasn't built on winners, okay? So you've got a system out there that's set up to take a lot of property back if you don't put some simple things in place to save it. If you also go to my website, I have a running asset protection calculator on there. You'll see where in the last month we probably saved over $2 million. Cumulative right now, about $14 million, okay? And we do that for people all the time, whether in an emergency healthcare situation or planning ahead. So Joe really touched on this. I don't need to hammer this home really very much, but it's how will the healthcare be paid for if you wind up in that situation? So these are some just kind of average national rates. Nursing home, about $76,000. Assisted living, about $40,000 a year. And $21 an hour for home health care aides. You want to plan so you have options. So that you can have a Bayada come in and take care of you in the home. So that you're not just sent to, say, a Medicaid facility, something of that nature, or just are left with a Medicaid bed. And I talked about choices, and Joe had a similar side as well. You can pay with your own savings, purchase long-term care insurance. By the way, there's a lot of neat products out there, aside from, and I don't sell products, but or insurance products, but there's a couple of people in the room that I think that do. Traditional long-term care insurance has experienced a major overhaul in the last couple of years. It's better. There's also life insurance with long-term care riders. There are long-term care annuities where you can put, for instance, for example, $100,000 in annuity set up to pay for long-term care, and it's going to pay off up to 4 times as much or more, maybe. But you know, $400,000 for care, for instance, and if it did spin down and you had to roll on to Medicaid to pay for care, it would save the $100,000 through a state partnership that's in place, and they couldn't touch it. Okay, so there's a lot of different products. That's why I said tip of the iceberg, cutting edge area of law and finance and home care, because these things are just going to become more and more available, more products, more legal tools to help people as the baby boomer population ages. And as we have more and more of a need for these type of products. Or we could implement a legal plan to save your home and your savings, or a combination of all of the above. I would recommend a combination approach and evaluating your goals, seeing where you are, evaluate what your goals are. Do you want to spend every last single cent before you pass? Do you want to pass on a legacy to the kids? I don't know. You know, I go back and forth on that. I don't know. I might take a cruise the last year. So what we want to avoid running out of money, leaving your home, which is sometimes the most valuable asset, unprotected, and why you wouldn't do simple planning to protect the home. It's a no-brainer. Meet with me, I'll tell you about it. We want to avoid risking the health of family or spousal caregivers. That's what I was talking about. That's where Bayada comes in handy. That's where they really are a lifesaver, literally, because it assists or takes the place of a novice, you know, who's not trained to do it, but who's trying to do it, okay? Who's trying to get it done. And maybe you don't think that they can afford in-home care, but as Joe pointed out, and these guys are the experts, and some of these ladies sitting at the front table, I'm sure, you know, they have a crew and a staff that's set up to figure out how you can pay for their services. And there's a number of ways to do it. The goal of my practice, the goal of, I think, really, what all our goals should be, I think, is to age with dignity. There's something, I was talking to someone today, it's so, to me, if you're aware of what's going on, I don't know, buying my first home was a really big deal, wasn't it? It was a big deal. And so proud of it. You know, and some people save and pay 30 to 40 years on a mortgage. And then at the end, to see that just stripped away, to see all the savings in retirement. Sometimes a couple will have a sick spouse that is leeching or taking all the benefits for both of them that they saved to retire on. And it's hard enough to save enough to retire and make it, okay? And live the same or a similar standard of living while you're working, especially if you have to take on a payment of nursing home care, assisted living, or in-home care. It could be crushing, and that you can see a large estate or amount of money go away rather quickly. Okay, so there's some things that we can do to plan for it, so you have choices going in. I just think that it can be a blow to dignity to do that. I call it the hang your head spin down. You just kind of, the family goes and spends all the money and turns everything over, and that's why I do these seminars. We want to access the best care possible so you can get options. We talked about options. Take control over who manages your finances and under what circumstances. I'm talking about powers of attorney, general durable powers of attorney, and those are more complicated than most people realize. Have to be recorded to survive incapacity, have to have a durability clause. So you want to designate that. And maybe, you know, does that happen now? Does that happen when I'm declared deemed incompetent? Maybe it's reciprocal where husband and wife are the attorney in fact for each other, and if one is unable or unwilling to serve, a series of people step in. That's very achievable. Documents that can live with you through your entire life. Those avoid costly guardianship proceedings, which are court proceedings that can be contested or not contested. It just depends, and it can be drawn out, and certainly much more expensive than going ahead and pre-planning and putting documents in place. And to leave a legacy to who you choose, not who the state chose for you. Raise your hand if you trust everything our legislature is going to do for us this year. I know I do. I do. I don't care who gets elected because they're going to take care of me, right? So now we want to go ahead and choose how we want to dispose of our assets, because I guarantee you somebody's got a plan for your assets. Okay? So choose what you want to do with your money and how you want to dispose of it. Told you I was going to put some personal pictures up there. This is Mama Margie. Mama's in a nursing home right now. Okay? This was at Christmas. Was this Christmas Eve? She's going to charge me a royalty for this, I know. She's a nut. She's funny. This is my mom's mother, okay? And she had a blood clot. She had an operation. She's fine. She's okay now, but she's rehabbing. So she's in a rehab mode. And first thing I did is bring my parents in and talk to them about Bayada home health care and the options, because they're scared that she won't be able to dress herself or, make sure she gets good meals all the time. And they're here right now, but my parents live in Savannah, Georgia, and I'm here, my wife is here, and she has another daughter in the area too. But wouldn't it be nice, won't it be nice, if she can transition back to her home? And she's done pre-planning. Papa Mac did not do pre-planning, okay? That was my dad's dad. This is my mom's mom. She has done pre-planning. The house is taken care of and saved, and her savings are secure. So we hope that Mama Margie comes home soon, okay? And if she does, we're going to have some type of home health care aide there at least a few times a week to help do the simple things and make sure she's taken care of. Because I guarantee you, she doesn't want to stay in an institutional setting. I talked a little bit about foundations. I'm going to fly through this because I know I'm probably close to time. 3 minutes. We'll try. So I talk about foundations. General, durable power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, living will. Those are 3 totally separate documents. And a will. Wills are still good foundational documents. I call it a safety net. But, if you sit down with an attorney, with an elder law attorney, if you sat down with me, for instance, okay, we would talk about how to pass things transferable upon death most of the time. So they don't go through the probate process, because that opens them up to liens. Wills can be contested. There's all kind of problems that I could foresee in a probate situation. Healthcare power of attorney, durable power of attorneys, general durables, separate documents, separate on purpose. The legislature, I'm going to save the legislature. They did a great job in separating these 2 statutes. Sometimes you might not want the person in charge of making your end-of-life healthcare decisions to be the same person that's sitting over here waiting for your inheritance, okay? You might want to separate those 2. Nobody ever does, but you might want to. You have the option, okay? So there's 2 totally separate documents. Lady Bird deeds. Anybody know who that is? Who knows who it is? Lady Bird Johnson. And who was the wife of who? Do you guys know who that is? Lyndon B. Who was her husband? Lyndon B. Johnson. That's correct. And who's the father? I like to say grandfather. He's really the father. His administration, the father of the Medicare system. Okay. So Lady Bird deeds are nicknamed Lady Bird deeds. They're really technically kind of advanced life estate deeds. They're deeds that give ultimate flexibility of you owning your property while you're alive, you and your wife. Having control of it, being able to sell it, mortgage it, reverse mortgage it. You can do anything you want to with that property. And then at the passing of the last one of you, give it directly to your offspring, your heirs, whoever you want to get, okay? And dictate how that happens. It beats a 5-year or a 3-year. 3-year for special assistance Medicaid, 5-year for nursing home Medicaid, which is skilled nursing care. It beats those look-back periods, okay? It's not a countable asset transfer under the Medicaid rules. And this is a recent development in our state, which is amazing. I can't tell you how great a tool this is. So you place one of these on your property. You don't have to have Johnny or Susie, your kids, to come in and sign anytime you want to sell it or mortgage it. You do it yourself without their consent, and it automatically protects the property. I say it builds a brick wall around your property today. You could get on Medicaid tomorrow to pay for health care. Your house will not go anywhere. It will pass lien-free to whoever you want it to go to outside of the probate estate, okay? And 99% of the county probably has never heard of it and has not done it and should. If you're at a certain stage in life. Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, I was going to talk about a few different types of trusts, but because of time, that's a premium, really cool trust that's built to stream income to the senior, so they keep their income, but automatically protected, that's my 20 minutes, automatically protected from any potential Medicaid liens or any other civil liens that could be out there, from car wreck, from anything else that might happen. You don't know the shark's in the water until you're bit. And that's what we want to prevent and against, okay? So those are very, very interesting and cool tools, and then pass the property at the passing of, say, the last one of a couple to the kids, to the offspring, to the heirs, similar to how you pass your property by deed, okay? Vacation properties, third-party properties, farmland that's not connected to your house, rental houses, we can look at protecting those too, okay? Those can also be protected. Did I slide in? I thought I skipped that slide. How they work, just click through this really quickly, and we'll be done. I can set up a reputable living trust that allows you to, you want to just keep clicking. Just click as fast as you can. A Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, a ladybird deed. We can put accounts and money that you live off of every day in a reputable living trust to protect it against any civil liens. That's going to automatically pass to the money to you and to your offspring. If you would pass, would go outside of probate, keep you away from the courthouse and any liens or any proceedings. Medicaid Asset Protection Trust would pass income to you, pass to your beneficiaries should you pass. Ladybird deed on the home would pass that automatically lien-free to the offspring and avoid probate in the courthouse, okay? That's a sample plan, okay? And I love to do this kind of visual planning with people. Go click there. Emergency Medicaid planning. Crisis Medicaid planning, I call it. Glad to talk to someone. If you know someone who gets into a situation where, you know, they're spending down money like crazy and getting ready to put liens on the home, call me. Probably a couple million in the last month that I talked about saving has been largely in crisis Medicaid plan, okay? And saving homes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or $500,000 in retirement income, okay? For a healthy spouse, where one spouse was really spending down, had already maybe spent down $500,000, okay? We'll continue. So, next steps, what are you going to do when you leave the seminar? Whatever you want to do, right? Take inventory. I'd ask you to take inventory of what you have, where you're at, okay? We have, Anna, did we bring some inventory sheets? Okay. We have an estate planning workbook, which is geared around this type of planning. Be glad to pass one out to you, or come get one when you leave. Take inventory. Know what you have, okay? Identify your goals. What's your goal? Is your goal to have health care options? Is it to protect your assets? Is it to set money aside to make sure your grandkids go to college? What are your goals? You know, people have very specialized goals. So know what those are. And you can see a professional to help you achieve those goals, whether it be me, someone else. I would say, see someone who knows what they're doing in whatever area of law that you're dabbling in or you're thinking about. You know, if you get a speeding ticket, go see a speeding ticket attorney. But go see a professional that can help you achieve those goals. And if you'll just advance to the next one. Just wanted to give some education out there today about some options you have to protect your hard-earned money and property. I'm sure all you nice folks have worked very hard for it, okay? I know I do for mine, and I want to make sure that I'm able to pass that down, make sure my kids go to college, and that I have some health care options as I get older and I grow. So be glad to sit down with anybody here at any time. You know, I talk about working first, second shift, yeah, and weekends, you know what I mean? So let me know if you ever want to sit down. Anna's here. She's got her schedule and appointment out there. Anna, if you want to go out to the front table, when you guys leave, if you want to stop, set up an appointment. I gave out a brochure, kind of a packet out there, okay? I'd love for you to fill out. I work very hard to put out very good content in this area, okay? And to educate the people of Cleveland County and beyond on the options they have to protect themselves. If you fill out the feedback form that's on the front, okay, of the packet that's in front of all of you, okay, there should be enough on every table, and you give me your email address, we will send you that email about once a month or so, okay? We'll also inform you of any upcoming events. Plus, we want to make sure we do better. So, I went over my 20 minutes today, okay? What could be better? What can I do to improve what we're doing right now to educate people in a better way? What are you interested in hearing about? You know, last year I did all kind of different topics. We had reverse mortgage experts come in. We had Social Security. You know, the timing, that's a big deal. 62 to 69, when you can take your Social Security. You need to do it at the right time so you maximize your benefits. Medicaid, Medicare seminars so we can clarify what those are and how they work. Let me know. Those are just throwing out some options there that we've done before. But let me know what you're interested in hearing about. And we'd love, I think there's certificates. Are there certificates? Are we giving a free consultation? So there's free appointments if you want to sit down for an hour or however long it takes to take a look at that inventory you make. And we'll help you. Anna's an expert. Anna, raise your hand. She works with my office, and it's just a godsend for our office, really. She'll sit down. She can help you take that inventory. We can send you that by fax, email, mail, if you need to, or come down and sit down in our office and we'll help you fill it out. And I'll sit down and take a look at everything. And we'll see if you want to do a ladybird deed on the house, or if you want to look at some other planning, what you might need. And I just kind of lay it out there that this is what you can do. These are your options, and you choose, okay? So thank you, Joe Seidel, for giving me the opportunity to come speak to you guys. I appreciate it. I'm humbled to be partnering with such an esteemed company, really, that's nationwide like Bayada. So thank you very much. Okay.
I kind of want to open it up just for a moment, just any questions that anybody might have for Greg or I. Again, we'll be happy to stick around. You may have some personal questions. Amber Mitchell is from our office. Gabrielle Tubbs is from our office. Vicki Deaton is one of our nurses. Tom Minowitz back here is an area director with our Morganton and Asheville offices. And Erica back at the table here, we used to be one of our home health aides, now works at Gardner-Webb University. So we have some of our people here. But any questions that we might be able to answer for you generally, again, we'd be happy to answer things more specifically.
I'll ask a softball question.
Thanks.
It's to Greg, probably. Greg, is it ever too early to come talk to an elder law attorney?
We'd rather catch people planning ahead. I have a friend of mine who practices in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He said people will get mad because they have to pay, a little to plan ahead. And then they'll come back and shed tears and cry. They're so happy, tears of joy. They're so happy because they pay me twice as much to save half the assets when they're in a crisis or trouble situation, because it's harder at that point to get in there and do it. But get with somebody ahead of time, and with a professional ahead of time in elder law, and they can help you save that for a fraction of the cost. For a fraction of the cost. Thank you. That was a softball.
Greg mentioned about oftentimes the caregiver who will precede in death the one that they're caring for. And that can cause a lot of stress on family members. My grandmother was one of those individuals. She took care of my grandfather for years, and she ended up dying prior to my grandfather dying. My grandfather was an alcoholic, and my mom, her brothers and sisters became very bitter at times towards him because they kind of felt like he sapped the life out of her. And so when you think about those things, there's a lot of emotional issues that can result from something like that. So planning ahead, thinking about these things, what are the options? Caregiver stress is extremely high. I forget the number of unpaid caregivers in the country, but it's a huge number of people. And those people will oftentimes wait until the 11th hour, and they're desperate for help, and they will call and say, I need someone. I mean, we have people that sometimes call and say, can you get someone out there today? I need someone today. And so start thinking about that, thinking about what you might be able to do to preserve your energy as well. Those unpaid caregivers are phenomenal individuals, and they do, I look at those individuals as my heroes because they really do a lot of excellent work. And Jenny Price back here is one of my heroes, and I've told her that before, the great care that she gave to her stepson before he died. And there's a lot of those caregivers that for years and years and years will be taking care of somebody and sap their strength, their health, and things. So, trying to move past the guilt of that, but maybe starting earlier in what you might be able to do to help that caregiver preserve their strength and health as well.
So the Lady Bird deed, how long does it take to set something up like that? We have a 92-year-old mother, and her house is still in her name. She's just since Christmas, she's going downhill. Something's going to have to be done either in home. I'd never heard about that until yesterday. We visited Shelby Manor.
Okay, they mentioned that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amy Clack.
Sure. We've helped a lot of people over there, okay? And they know my grandfather over there too, Papa Mac. A lot
Yeah,
of
she taught me.
Good. So, yeah, if it's an emergency situation, we treat it as such, okay? And we move that to the front burner, all right? What are we doing right now? Between a week to... Well, but what's our turnaround time on the Lady Bird right now? 2 to 4 weeks maybe to put all that in place? That's probably with a little other planning as well. But just the deed itself, probably within 1 to 2 weeks, okay? So just with the deed itself, just to protect the house.
Yeah, that was
Sure. But sometimes there's really dire circumstances where we need to get in and we just need to do it right away.
we need to end on dire circumstances right now.
We have highly trained.
We can do that too.
We have highly trained staff.
That's why we're working third shift tonight.
Yeah.
We can do that, can't we, Gabrielle and Amber? We can get that done.
She don't want to go to bed till 11 o'clock.
I don't, I mean, in different offices, and I oversee several offices, but in our Charlotte office, we will literally get a call at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they want us there at 11 o'clock that night.
No, I'm joking,
Yeah.
but it is.
So the nurse will go out and open a case, we'll get a home health aide out there, we'll get it done, but that literally does happen from time to time, where it's like I said, people will wait until the 11th hour, and it's like, we need help today, and we can usually make that happen if it's going to be private pay, we can make that happen that day. If there's some insurance stuff, there may be a little bit of delay, but that's we try to understand where people are coming from. It's like we understand that there are people that wait till the 11th hour, so it's okay.
Maybe a stupid question, but
There are no
how
stupid
many years
questions.
ago there wasn't a stupid
Ask
question?
all the stupid questions.
But I
and
don't
answer.
know. Are all life estate deeds Lady Bird deeds?
No. In fact, traditional life estate deeds have been used for years. I used them for years to protect your house, to protect other property, maybe farmland up part of the county, maybe a mountain house. But I said you can build that wall of protection that wall of protection right now with the Lady Bird deed for the house. It takes 5 years to build that wall with a life estate deed, traditional life estate deed. And the Lady Bird deed is designed just for the homestead, just for your home, and any contiguous property around it, okay?
That's, I think, what we have now. We need
If
to
you
check
have
that out.
adjacent parcels that are broken off or something like that, might be we need to piece them back together and place one on the whole thing. Those are individual things, some strategies we need to take a look at, okay? So,
I got a question about attorney, the power of attorney.
sure.
You
Shoot.
want help, like if, say he goes to the hospital and he's not able to say, I don't want to take that medicine.
Right.
Can I put in it, or do I have to have that?
Are you the healthcare power of attorney?
We've not got nothing like that.
Okay. So that's the question. And that's what, you know, the doctors and the hospital, and I work with the Journey program out in the hospital all the time as well. I'm on the board there. And that they're very trained. The doctors and chaplains and other people there are very well trained to try to ferret out who's the decision maker, document or not. But to remove all indecision, and sometimes there's conflict when healthcare decisions come up within a family, between children, for instance, as to what to do in certain situations. Healthcare powers of attorney answer those conflicts and answer those questions. So a reciprocal power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney between you and your husband, where you're your husband's and he's yours, you make all those important decisions. And then if you combine that with a living will, which says, you know, in the event that I'm in a persistent vegetative state and my body could simply be maintained indefinitely by a respirator, do I want that to continue? And you make that decision while you're competent, while you're well, while you're feeling good. That doesn't mean that's exactly what's going to happen. It means that that's direction to the doctors, to the nurses, it's direction to your healthcare power of attorney, to you, that that's what my husband wants, or that's what my wife wants. And it's a release of liability, too, for the hospital and everybody involved making that decision, that that's okay. So,
And
I hope that answered your question.
And speaking on our end, it's really nice to have that information. I'll give 2 examples. We had a client in a nursing home that I managed, and there were 4 children. The 4 children did not talk to each other. And so when something needed to be done with this lady, we were at a loss who we were supposed to call. So we would call one, and we'd get permission to do something. Then one of the other children would come in and chew us out because they hadn't given us permission to do it. And it was like, and so they wanted us to call all 4, get permission from all 4 before we did anything. So we really like to have those kind of things in place. Another example, I know Greg talked about, you know, maybe someone managing the money, someone managing the health care. I had a situation like that. There was one who was power of attorney for finances, one was a power of attorney for health care. And then there was a third daughter who lived in California, and she was the knight on the white horse. Would come in every 3 months and mess everything up. But we would call the one daughter and we'd say, you know, it looks like your mom needs this kind of service, and they'd say, yeah, I'm okay with it, but you're gonna have to call my sister to see if she'll pay for it. Because they didn't talk to each other either. We'd call the sister up and we'd say, you know, we need to do this, is this okay? And the sister would say, yeah, it's okay with me, I'm willing to pay for it if my sister says it's okay that you guys do it. It's like, yeah, your sister said it was okay, you said it was okay, okay, we're gonna do it. So, you know, so sometimes on our end, if those documents are not in place, it becomes a very difficult thing. And then Greg talked about guardianship. I remember I was running a retirement community, and there was a niece who took care of this lady. She was in the facility every day, met her aunts, every need. They went to a guardianship hearing because there was nothing before that. She became incompetent, so they had a guardianship hearing. Well, this family shows up that I had never seen before. And they came into my office and they said, I want you to represent us as for the guardianship and say that you think that we're going to make the best guardians for our relative. And I have no idea what relationship they were. And I just looked at them and said, look, I've never met you before. This is the first time I've met you. I've been invited to the hearing by Denise, and I'm going to testify that Denise comes in every day. She pays the bills every month. She makes sure all the clothes that the lady needs are provided for. That's all I know. You know, I've never even heard your name mentioned before this meeting, but they come out of the woodwork, you know, and so without those kind of documents on our end, it becomes a real challenge sometimes as to what we're supposed to do, especially when siblings aren't talking to each other, and you got 4 of them, and
If you can believe it, toward the end of life and when there's money involved, it's just such a great recipe for everybody to get along, you know?
yeah.
So making those decisions ahead of time can avoid some of that.
Any other questions? Tom?
Got another softball one for you,
Well,
Joe.
thank you, Tom. And Tom works for Bayada, by the way, just a note of disclosure, so when he sets me up nicely, you'll know.
So, 30-second answer, maximum for you. Can you talk briefly about long-term care insurance versus traditional Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance? The fact that LTC is not generally in a traditional policy.
Yes. So thank you for saying that. Traditional insurances, commercial insurances, we refer to them, oftentimes do not cover the custodial care, the continuous care. It doesn't cover. And it will say in there, you know, skilled care, and so it sounds like it does, because when you think about it, it's like, well, this is skilled care. It's like, but the skilled care is often mirrored with what Medicare will pay for, and so the home care services are typically not paid for with that. Long-term care insurance, that is a viable option, and they do cover the continuing care type care that can be provided. So, yes.
What about, like, do you have to meet certain criteria? I've heard that you have to meet certain criteria for long-term care to kick in and do what you think it would do, like
Okay.
going to a facility.
Yeah, there's the elimination period, which is like your deductible. And you will sign up for a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day elimination period, and you have to pay privately to meet that deductible. Now, Greg's been talking about preserving assets. One of the things that the long-term care insurance industry has not defined is how much you need to pay on a daily basis. So we have actually had people come to us and paid for an hour and a half of service for their 30, 60, 90, or 100 days. And so they've only paid a very minimal amount. And then when their deductible, their elimination period has been met, they may get 6 or 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, depending on what their policy will pay for. So that's one way to preserve assets, because it doesn't say you have to spend $100 a day. It just says you have to pay for care for 100 days, for 30 days. So that's one way to preserve assets. Another thing is that most of the long-term care insurance policies are going to require that you're receiving 2 activities a day with it. So that's the bathing, the dressing, the ambulating, the toileting, the feeding. So they're going to require that. So I don't know any long-term care insurance policies right now. There could be some, because there's a lot of them out there, but most of them do require the two ADLs.
And just to add to that, because we've had some experience with long-term care policies, everyone is different. Every company is different. So what Genworth might do might be totally different than what John Hancock would do, which would be different than what anybody else would do. So for example, the elimination period, if you have a 90-day elimination period, I know one long-term care insurance company means you can get 1 day of service today, you can get another one next month, and another one next month, another one after that. You make your 90 days period with really only 3 or 4 days of service. Other ones say, no, we need 90 consecutive days of care, or a certain number of weeks of care. So everyone is different, so definitely talk to an insurance agent that can answer those questions for you. But what we have seen is so many people call us and ask for care, and they say, well, yeah, I have insurance for that, and they give us their Humana policy or their regular Blue Cross Blue Shield policy, and it's not generally covered. So it's something that I think everybody should definitely, and I don't sell insurance either, by the way, but it is something that I think everybody should look into, because what we have also seen is the payback for what it costs for your long-term care insurance is so much less expensive to have that policy than it is to have to pay out of pocket. Of course, an elder law might be able to save that money anyway by doing some of the other stuff.
You know, I routinely recommend that people get long-term care insurance. That's part of the assessment. You know, if I see you don't have it, I'm going to tell you where your weaknesses are. I mean, and that's such a weakness, right? I mean, it's so nice to meet with somebody who has long-term care insurance, because, especially if it's an adequate policy, There's different amounts that they'll pay out because, I mean, they're just so well protected because they're insured. I mean, you know, if something bad happens, they're going to have that option. That's the options I was talking about of going to Bayada. And it's easier for you guys because you meet those requirements and it kicks in and pays the bill. So you know, to have someone set up that way ahead of time with pre-planning would be ideal. So.
Any other questions for us? Well, we've got two door prizes that we want to give away. At the one of them's the basket on the table. So we'll pull one of the names out here. You guys wrote your name on there. Erica, got the basket on the table. Now, Tom Benowitz is area director with Bayada Home Health Care, but he also owns the Mosquito Authority in Shelby. And I've had his service, and I did not have one mosquito in my yard last year, nor did I have one red ant. And I have a child with special needs that could stand in a red ant pile and get bit 8-10 times before she would recognize that she's being bit. And I did not have one red ant in my yard last year, so I'm speaking on that. Tom's given away 3 months of Mosquito Authority service. So if you live in an apartment, you know, you may want to give it to somebody else. Reba Eagle? So there you go. Okay. So again, we want to thank you very much for coming out this evening. We appreciate the opportunity to meet each one of you. Again, we're going to be here. We'll be happy to talk. If you want further conversations, I know Greg and I would both, and my staff would be glad to do that. We're here to help, and that's our bottom line. So thank you very much.